Hey everyone, and welcome back to Trying to with Leah. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My channel is basically just about trying to grow as a person, learning from life's experiences, and trying to incorporate helpful perspective shifts, and of course, trying to become a better person little by little every day. So if you're interested in conversations like that, definitely subscribe and follow along. And you can also find me not only on YouTube, but Facebook and Instagram. And eventually I will branch into TikTok once I feel more capable. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about trying to maintain an attitude of gratitude, especially during the seasons of life where things feel heavy and painful and stressful, or maybe just emotionally exhausting in general. When life is going well, gratitude kind of comes naturally. When things are working out and when people we love are happy and healthy and life feels stable, it's easy to look around and feel thankful and grateful for everything that you have. But when life hits hard and it feels chaotic or unfair, gratitude can feel almost impossible to find. There's even certain moments where literally just the word can be triggering because you're so overwhelmed by everything that's happening around you. And lately I've been thinking about this a lot because my best friends are going through something really difficult right now. My very best friend in the entire world, her husband, one of the most amazing men that I've ever met, was just diagnosed with metastatic cancer. I'm going to link the GoFundMe below just in case you decide to donate, because they are definitely going to need all the help that they can get. Life expenses and medical expenses are going to well surpass the goal that they've set, but I think that a community of people around them can help them with that transition. But watching the people that you love suffer is such a helpless feeling, especially when you know that they are genuinely good people. They're the kind of people who care deeply and would do anything for anybody else. And I think that when people you love are hurting, it's really easy for those feelings of bitterness and unfairness to start creeping in. Sometimes life just really feels unfair. And I think that pretending otherwise can actually just make people feel more alone. There are experiences in this life that are genuinely heartbreaking. There's situations where there is no immediate silver lining and there's no quick lesson or magical perspective shift that's going to make it all stop hurting. But I also realized that if I stayed inside of that bitterness and that pain for too long, it's going to start changing me. And that's not in a good way. Because when your mind stays focused only on the pain and the unfairness, eventually that perspective starts bleeding into everything else in your life. You start carrying around more resentment and hopelessness and emotional weight. And I don't want to become that version of myself. And I don't think that people should force positivity onto themselves while they're hurting. But I do think that there's a big difference between allowing yourself to feel pain and process that pain and allowing the pain to completely consume you and your perspective. And lately, I've been trying really hard to remind myself that even during these really difficult seasons, there are still things worth being grateful for. And that's not in some kind of pretend everything is fine kind of way, but more like there's always more than one way to look at things, even when you're hurting. Because when I really think about it, knowing people this amazing in the first place is a blessing in itself. I could have gone my entire life without ever meeting them, without ever knowing how deep their friendship goes and their love and their humor and enjoying the impact that they've had on my life. And yes, loving people very deeply also means that you open yourself up to some deep pain when life gets hard. But I would still choose it every single time. It reminds me of that old quote, "It's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all." And I know that that sounds cliche sometimes, but honestly, I understand that quote so much more deeply now than I used to. Because even when relationships and experiences and seasons of life eventually bring you pain, that doesn't erase all of the beauty and the joy that existed inside of them too. And I think sometimes gratitude is just refusing to let those painful experiences erase the value of what existed before that pain arrived. I've also been thinking a lot lately about how often our hardest experiences usually become the very thing that allows us to help somebody else later on. Not immediately, of course. Usually you have to have that hindsight. While you're still in the middle of surviving something painful, you're never sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to help so many people with this. This is a huge growth opportunity. You're usually just trying to get through the day. And I think sometimes people put too much pressure on themselves just to immediately understand why something's happening before they've even had time to process it. But after enough time passes and you gain that hindsight, and after you've had enough space to heal and reflect and process things more clearly, sometimes you start realizing that the painful experiences shape you in ways that you didn't even expect. Sometimes those experiences change the way that you love people or the way that you show up for them. And sometimes they make you more aware of how fragile and how precious life actually is. And I think that kind of perspective shift usually only comes from experience. So lately, while watching these people that I really love go through these extremely difficult things, I've been trying very intentionally to not let us lose ourselves completely in the sadness of it all. Because I think that's a really easy thing to do, especially in such a tough situation like this. I think we should still feel it and cry about it and struggle with it emotionally if we need to, but I also think we need to try even harder to hold on to the love and the positivity that exists inside of that too. Because grief and pain usually exist where love and joy existed so much more first. And maybe gratitude during painful seasons is less about forcing yourself to feel positive and more about remembering that the difficult experiences can still contain meaning and moments that matter deeply. So this week, I really want to encourage you guys to reflect on your own experiences a bit, especially the difficult ones. And that's not to try to rush yourself through the healing process, because healing doesn't happen when you try to rush things along. It actually stalls out. But maybe just to ask yourself whether there's something meaningful that you can still carry forward from those experiences. Maybe there's some wisdom that came from it that might help somebody else who could be going through the same thing. Maybe it changed the way that you love people, or it helped shape the person that you're becoming in ways that you didn't fully see at the time. And if you're still in the middle of one of those painful seasons right now, I also want you to know that it's okay if gratitude feels difficult and like a trigger word at the moment. Sometimes surviving is enough for right now. Anyway, if you guys want to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments, I think we would all genuinely love to hear them. I think that conversations like this help all of us feel a little bit less alone while we're trying to figure out life. So thank you guys for being here with me and spending this time with me. And thank you for continuing to try alongside me, even during the difficult seasons. If you feel called to donate to this beautiful family, then the link is down below. And if you can't donate, sharing this video can help reach somebody who can. So please do that. I'll see you guys next week.